Automate everything with Google Workspace Studio. Hey techies, I'm Tasia Custode, and we're jumping inside Workspace Studio today. Seriously, it'll help you automate tasks like never before. So if you're wondering how to use Google Workspace Studio, it might help to start at the beginning. What is Google Workspace Studio? It's an AI-powered platform designed to create, manage, and share AI agents that automate routine work tasks across Gmail, Drive, and Chat, and even other third-party apps like Asana, Jira, MailChimp, and Salesforce. Workspace Studio allows you to build automated flows using simple natural language prompts. So think, with Workspace Studio, you can automate anything from simply drafting email replies to more advanced automations like tracking invoice requests and yes, even filling out invoices. I know. And with that, let's learn how to use Google Workspace Studio. And there are actually a couple of ways to access your Workspace Studio, as well as a few different options to automate your work. First, when you've signed into your Google Workspace account, you can access the Workspace Studio Discover page by heading to studio.workspace.google.com at any time. Or alternatively, you can click the studio icon near the top right corner of your Gmail or your Google Drive. Now this will open up a pop-up on the right-hand side of Gmail or Drive where you can click to do more in Studio to head to that Discover page. And we're going to touch more on this pop-out a bit later. From your Studio Discover page, there are a few different ways to automate your work with Gemini. First, at the top, you can use plain language to describe a task you'd like to automate. Second, you can scroll through some of the helpful pre-built workflow templates like email boosters, meeting helpers, and task and action items. And lastly, you can use the plus symbol on the left to create a new flow from scratch. What makes Workspace Studio so powerful is its Gemini-powered performance. And if you're looking for even more ways to increase your productivity and automate even more things in Gemini, then I suggest you take a look at this free guide from HubSpot, How to Do 10 Hours of Research in 20 Minutes, the marketer's guide to Google Gemini and Notebook LM. I've got it linked for you in the description below, and it shows you practical ways to reduce your research time while leveling up your expertise. And if you want to dive further into automation than we're covering in this video, this guide shows you specific use cases and ways you can implement both Google Gemini and Notebook LM for all your content creation, marketing strategy, competitive analysis needs, and more. I absolutely love that it provides real-world AI use cases for marketers and covers step-by-step how to automate research with AI. You'll learn in detail how with one deep research prompt, you can have Gemini do the work for you, scouring the internet on your behalf and synthesizing large amounts of information quickly and efficiently. And my favorite part is the audio overview feature. I love that you can turn all your research into a personal podcast you can listen to on the go. You can find all of this inside the guide linked in the description below. Huge thanks to HubSpot for sponsoring this video and providing this completely free resource so you can level up your AI game. So let's start with creating a flow from scratch inside Workspace Studio, since this allows for a fully custom workflow tailored to exactly what you need. From your Discover page, click on the plus symbol in the left to create a new flow. Every flow has two main parts. There's a starter and there's steps. So from here, you're going to want to choose how to start your flow. Now, there are a ton of options, anything from on a schedule, when a file is edited, when you get an email, when an item is added to a folder, when a form response comes in, and more. Most starters have required fields that need to be filled out. So for this example, let's click on a schedule. Now from here, we're going to choose and configure a starter to launch our flow. Then we'll select a start date and time, and we'll decide whether or not we want it to repeat and when, if at all, we'd like this flow to end. Clicking on Show More will even allow you to select a time zone. Next, we'll click on Choose a Step to add an action. There are a lot of actions to choose from here, anything from AI skills to tools, Gmail, chat, sheets, Drive, docs, and tasks. Steps are tasks that the flow performs after it's started. So you can really get a feel for just how custom you can get with creating a flow from scratch. Now for this, I'll select Recap Unread Emails. Up at the top here, we'll set our time range for this summary. Since I've set this flow to notify me at 8 a.m. every morning, I'll pick yesterday. So first thing in the morning, I'm gonna get a summary of important unread emails. And you can see here, we've already got a detailed auto-filled prompt to generate a summary. To add another step, click add step. And again, here we're going to choose an additional step. Now, each step is going to have its own unique requirements. So we've said we want a recap of unread emails, but we should add a step of how we want to actually be notified of these. Maybe I'd like to be notified in the chat. Here on the left, it's added that step. And then here on the right, I can add a message. You can type in something here, or you can add a variable. Now, variables are essentially placeholders for information from starters and previous steps that can be used to pass information to later steps, making your flow dynamic. So for this, I'd like to be notified via chat with the summary of unread emails. If I hover over this inserted chip, you can see that when the flow runs, the actual summary of unread emails is used here. Now, your variables will depend on the starter and the action steps you're taking. Now, before we complete a flow, we need to title it by clicking on the untitled name near the top left. I'm going to call this Important Unread Emails Recap. You can click to rename this at any time, by the way. You can also click the three-dot menu icon to manage your steps at any time, or you can click on a step to go back to that step if you wish. And if you want to quickly rearrange steps, you can simply choose to move them up or down. Now be aware that whenever you move a step, this affects what information the steps have access to. If a step turns red, it indicates that more information is needed or that there is an issue. So in this case, this sequence wouldn't be able to run because it's trying to use a variable that actually hasn't been created. I'm going to move this step back to step 3 and the issue is resolved. Once your flow is configured, you can click Test Run to run a test. Simply click on Start to begin the test run. In this case, I receive a notification in chat, just like I asked for, and we can see in our studio that the test run is complete. All that's left to do is click on Turn On to officially turn on this flow. Now for a little lay of the land in Google Workspace Studio. At any time, you can use the left-facing arrow near the flow name to go back home to your Workspace Studio dashboard that houses all your flows. Here, you'll be able to get a quick glance of all your flows and whether or not they're active. You can click the three-dot menu icon to edit your flow, make a copy, turn it off, or delete it completely. You can make changes to a flow at any time by clicking into it. Just ensure you save your changes that you make. From any page in your studio, you can navigate to the Discover page using the left Discover tab, or you can click that plus symbol to add another new flow from scratch. If you're looking for quick, time-saving ways to build flows, I definitely recommend you do so by either using a natural language prompt or by getting started with a template. I love templates in Workspace Studio. You can scroll through the templates under the prompt bar or look through even more below those few. There are templates for emails, meetings, tasks, action items, customer connections, and everyday essentials. To create a flow with templates, you guessed it, we're simply going to have to click on the template we want to use. I'd like to be updated on news headlines, so I'm going to click this Catch Up on News template. What's nice about the templates is that we obviously don't have to build a flow from scratch. We can rename our flow at the top. We can see for this flow, our starter is on a schedule. So just like we did when we were building from scratch, we can select a start date and time, and we're going to decide whether or not we want it to repeat and when, if at all, we'd like this flow to end. And remember to click into Show More to select a time zone. You're going to notice that this template came with 2 action steps already done for us. We're going to click on step 2 and review the Ask Gemini prompt. You can see how detailed this is for this template. So a lot of time is saved by not having to do this from scratch. It's provided context and instructions and is even set to exclude redundant headlines. Love it. You can make any changes to this if you wish though. Everything here is fully customizable. I'm happy with this step, so I'm going to move on to step 3. And we can see here, step 3, we're going to be notified in chat. It's dependent on that step 2 variable. So if you're happy with this, we could run a test run or just turn on the flow as is. But remember, you can add any steps that you want at any time, or we could delete a step and replace it with a different one. So I'm actually going to delete this step here, and I'm going to replace it with being notified via email. So here, I'm going to set the variable to be step 2, content created by Gemini, and then I'm going to add a message, something like your news summary. And then once you're all set with your flow, you'll test run it and you'll turn it on. Now let's take a quick look at what building a flow looks like using a natural language prompt. As you may have guessed, for this, we're going to use the prompt bar at the top and ask Gemini to help us. I'm going to say, extract invoice information from my incoming emails and create a sheet to track the information. We're going to hit create, and Workspace Studio gets to work here, creating a flow that we can review. And keep in mind, it's important to review flows created with Gemini. Remember, you can rename the flow and ensure you're happy with that starter and any steps that it's created. The same exact process applies here. You can adjust any of the steps or add any steps that you like. And since this was created for us with natural language, you can also make sure you're adding in any of the missing details if necessary. Now that you've got a handle on creating all kinds of custom flows, you'll want to take advantage of them inside both your Gmail and your Drive. From either Gmail or Drive, when you click on that studio icon, you're going to see all your workflows in a pop-out side panel. You'll click on Discover to access a couple of quick suggestions based on the tab that you're in. So if you're in Gmail, these suggestions would be different than these ones here in Drive. Now, what's nice is you can click on any of these helpful suggestions and actually turn on a flow right from inside your Gmail or Drive. You don't even have to click out to Workspace Studio if you don't want to. Love this. Clicking on Activity is going to give you a list of your complete, in progress, or any flows that happen to have issues. And remember, at any time, you can click Do More in Studio and be brought back onto the Studio Discover page. To use Google Workspace Studio, you must have a Google Workspace account. And to use AI features, your Google admin must enable Gemini on your account. And now you know how to use Google Workspace Studio. So that's your peek inside Workspace Studio. Now I want to hear from you. What flows have you created, or what flows do you want to create? Let everyone know in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, well, I want to know. So give it a like, a share, or you can leave that comment below. You can click right about here to subscribe to my channel, and here for even more Google goodness. Thanks for watching. See you next time.